Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Hilltop Pillbox here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. And this is a very exciting day for me. My game has finally arrived, and of course, when I say my, that's very much tongue-in-cheek because definitely a team effort. I had the original idea for this style of a Normandy game. There are many different iterations of Normandy games, but I believe this one will be very accessible to all gamers, but will also be challenging enough and with enough ways to win and or lose that even seasoned veterans like the people watching this video will really enjoy it. A lot of historical accuracy in here, but also some gameplay innovation that will allow you to really tackle the events of D-Day and the days following in a way that you want to do it, right? Whether you're the Allied commander or the German commander. Now, it is a two-player game by design, but definitely you can split up the 5 beaches amongst a variety of players. So if you have more than 2 people wanting to play, there you go. And the German player, typically 1 player is enough for that. You could have a couple. One might handle the western side of the board, one might handle the eastern. That is totally up to you. Very flexible game, though. I've played a number of different Normandy games, and some of them very in-depth and heavy on historical accuracy, which is always great to embrace. But I found myself getting bogged down in the rule book, and the enjoyment started to slip away. Every time you're going to roll a die or move a counter, you had to check the rule book to make sure you could do it. And yes, some people know those games inside and out, back and front, and they can just play it seamlessly. But I didn't find it very accessible, a number of those games. And others are great, but just don't have the depth, just don't allow you to make the decisions that I think commanders of this large of a struggle should be able to make. So playing the Avalon Hill version of D-Day, I love that game. It's so much fun. But I always found myself saying, man, I really wish I could do this. Oh, I wish the Germans had some aircraft. Oh, I wish. And so I stopped wishing and I said, I'm going to make a game. So this is what we have. We have Invasion Normandy is the official title of the game. And when you order your copy, it's going to come in this beautiful box. I'm just going to put it right like that for now. And you can see the mugs of the wonderful people who absolutely helped with this game. So it's yours truly up at the top with the Canadian infantryman kit on, and to the right of that is Sky Marshal in the Americans, and on the left is Mike Kelley in the British paratrooper garb, and of course Hambone manning the MG42 and blasting away. So beautiful box though, really nice artwork all around, really gorgeous, and you get a little bit more of the same on the back side. All right, so we're just going to open it up and we're going to show you what you get when you order the game. So you get the map, of course, and you get a whole bunch of tissue paper. Look at that, with 101 uses. Okay, then you get a big bag full of wonderful game aids and information. So of course you need your battle boards, and the way the battle boards are designed here are there's solitary for each side. So instead of piling on a bunch of stuff for both sides, here's the German attack board, right? It's beautiful, and it's this wonderful material that the map is made out of as well. So it lies flat. I just opened the map, by the way. I just took it out of a tube. It's been in there for a couple of weeks, and I just took it out, laid it out, and boom, lies flat. So then here we have the Germans' defense board, all very clear to see, and then you can see all the different flags of all the nations who participated in the struggle. So it's really great to see. And of course, all the dice that you need to roll. So that's the attack and defense boards. And then you get the airborne card. You can set up your airborne on here, and then as they die, you put them back, and you can kind of keep track of the strength of your airborne at a glance. And this is on the it's like a build plate, so very good sturdy material there. Optionally, this doesn't come automatically with the game, but you can have a German airfield card to hold the 5 German fighters, and they will sit off to the side. You can quickly scoop them as you need them. And then we've got our cardboard counters, and you can see we've got the British, the Canadians, we've got the different airbornes, special forces. And on the back side, if you want to go with a more traditional look for the UK and Canada, there you go. Of course, the Canadian maple leaf did not exist officially until 65, but it was painted on ships and painted on tanks because, of course, I can't think of a more solo national symbol in the world than the Canadian maple leaf. Possibly the Aussie kangaroo, possibly. And then with the Americans and the French and the American airborne, right? So you got your 101st and you got the 82nd. And of course, if you want to go a little bit more traditional with the U.S. Army, you can use those. I really like these. I think Hambone did a video on these last week, and I like these too for this particular game. It really gives that feel like you're in The Longest Day. And I also have the rule book, and the rule book is a ringed rule book, and I really like this. I really do. It's just really plain and simple. We decided not to do a whole bunch of pictures because this game doesn't really need them. The game does not need images because it's a very straightforward hex-based game, and you absolutely can figure it out very simply. But there is a player aid card here, and you can see so the airborne drops for the Americans, and then the British and Canadian airborne drops, and just a little handy cheat sheet. Try to get it so you're not getting glare. Little cheat sheet for things like close air support, the bombing, offshore support, German E-boats coming in, having some fun, the French resistance. And once you start doing these, we noticed as we played that we didn't need to look at the rules anymore. Like, oh yeah, that's what the French resistance does. That's easy. That's easy. And then you just get used to it. A few combat modifiers in the game, but nothing really too untowards. And again, the map is very clear, very clean, and it's easy to see what goes where. Not much else to be said. The reinforcement points, a very simple chart here to follow for the Germans, and it's a very, very interesting, and I believe a very well-balanced way to keep the Germans and the Allies on an even playing field for the sake of the game. Now, this game was never meant to have the Germans push the Allies back into the sea. That was not the point of the game. And I've played some games where there's a hint that that's actually possible. You might be able to do that. And I really didn't want that in this game. I wanted it to be not a struggle for the Germans or an option for the Germans to push them back into the sea, rather to keep them away from victory hexes. So if you've looked at my video on this game, you know that this entire game is based upon victory hexes. So when you, as the Allies, are trying to get in and win the game, you need to get 35 or more of these victory hexes. And as you get them, that's going to increase the currency for the Germans that they can purchase units. So the better you do, the stronger the Germans become. And I find that to be a great balance. And there's definitely a preponderance of air and naval power for the Allies that the Germans just don't have. But the Germans do have a lot of infantry and artillery on the board to start the game. And while not a great offensive punch, it is tough to just bash your way through with the Allies. And you've got to be very strategic about it. As you can see, the bocage, right, this region here with all the hedgerows, Very important part of the game, and you will want to utilize that as the German player. Might pull you out of position, but sometimes it's worth it to get that sneak attack, the opportunity fire on the Allies. So what I'm going to do now is just set up the board and give you a little bit more of an overview. I'm not going to go through the rules, but just show you what it looks like when it's fully set up. And then we're going to be running through a game, and we'll let you know how that goes. All right, see you in just a moment. There's something I was going to mention, and I neglected to do so, is that when you like to keep your pieces for a game all together, it will fit in this box. Okay, so this box holds everything, and there you go. It's all ready to go. You can just seal it up. Now, these are Duramax, but other people use the Plano cases. Either or will work. There's some good room in here to fit, and you can keep all your stuff in this handy dandy box. All right, on to the setup. Okay, so we're going to give you a rundown of the map itself and the gameplay area. So as you can see at the top here, we've got the game rounds, and Operation Neptune was the landings, and shortly thereafter, Operation Overlord is the essentially the assault on Normandy proper, the whole area. So we start with the airborne phase, first landing at the beaches, and then you have 10 rounds in which to complete Operation Neptune, where you are trying to get at least 35 zones, 36 zones for the Allies in order to get a minor victory, 40 to get a major victory, a solid victory, and then 45 or better for a major victory. And the Germans, if they can hold you to 35 or less, will gain a victory for themselves. So here we have the setup of the airborne card. You can see there are 6 for the 82nd and 6 for the 101st, 2 for the Canadian Para, and then there are 6 units, 4 British airborne, and then 2 Tetrarch tanks. I thought I'd add those in just for a little bit of flavor. They did drop in the evening of the 6th. They don't drop in with the initial wave, but in our game, we're just going to have them drop in. And as you can see all around the board, you can see all the Balkan crosses. Those are the victory hexes that you are trying to achieve. And then the beaches are all ready to go, and they are manned by Germans. Of course, we've got the Rangers at Pointe du Hoc trying to take out the German gun emplacements that were up there. Many of them were removed before the invasion happened, but in our game, we denote that by having them unmanned. But if the Rangers are unsuccessful, then these Germans are able to come in and try to dislodge them. And over here, Omaha, of course, we give them 2 bunkers. The rest of the beaches only have 1, and we give them 1 in each beach landing hex. So makes it a little tougher. Plus, there's no armor. All the armor is floundering in the channel. So whereas the other beaches each have 1 tank, they have none. They've got to try to soften it up with air and bombards. And failing that, it's just the infantry trying to slug their way through. There are some optional rules that you can have. Hobart's Funnies, and that's some of these tanks that you see here, painted by Sky Marshal. He did an amazing job with all of those, and anything that looks pretty on my board was from him. He did an amazing job with all that. My Canadians are here. I don't have all the aircraft here because I'm playing a game of Global 40 right now. We're in round 5, and Moscow is probably 2 turns away from falling, but we're going to give them a good fight. So most of my aircraft are down there right now at that game. So... but this is where the aircraft are, and if they're able to be used, they're in the ready box. If they get shot down, they go to replacements, and then in 1 turn they move to en route. So, and then back into ready. So if you do get a plane shot down by the Germans, then you'll have to wait a turn before you get them back. Now over here, German airfield, there are 5 fighters. There's only 3 because they're busy fighting Global 40 game. But they stay here. And you get 5 once all the beaches have at least one zone open, you can have one fighter. And so they scramble from Monteberg, the Maupertus-sur-Mer, and then, of course, the Carpiquet airfield by Caen, which is supposed to be taken on the first day by the Canadians. And although they may have been able to take it, they certainly couldn't have held it so far in advance of all the other beaches. So you take out these airfields and you cut into the German fighter numbers. Once you take one, it eliminates one of the German fighters. So then if you take all 3 airfields, they would be down to 2 fighters that could respond. The way the game works is with German reinforcements and victory hexes. For each one of the victory hexes that's a Balkan cross, you get that. And then it moves across, moves across, moves across, moves across. And of course, as you go. All right. For the Germans, for every victory hex that you get, they move this across. And it stops at 12. So after you've taken 12, as long as the Germans don't take any back, the Germans will have maximum activation points. And the activation points mean that's how many hexes they can activate for movements. They can attack, any of them can attack, but to actually move their units, they need to have a movement point. So the German turn typically doesn't take that long because the most you're ever going to move is 12 hexes worth of units. So there is that. So that kind of speeds up their turn a bit, but their economy here for German reinforcements is very simple. So if 35 victory hexes have been taken, this would be deep into the game. The Germans could put on 35 $35 worth of reinforcements. Now the first 5 are spent on 5 infantry at 1 point per. So they'd have the 5 infantry and then 30 more points. Well, they can put on a medium tank for 5, so they could put on the 5 infantry and 6 armor. Well, that's a lot to put on in one turn, and if they put it down here in Villers-Bocage, maybe over here, anywhere, essentially they want to put it, typically if they can find a rail line that hasn't been bombed, that they've been able to repair, and then those 6 tanks can go smashing into the Allies. So it is a very effective balance mechanism. So the Allies just can't zip around taking everything they want because the Germans could respond with some real heavy reinforcements. Once you have all the beaches open, you have 11. So if you haven't taken anything else, once you have all the beaches open, that's 11, which would give the Germans 11 hexes to activate. There are some fun little optional rules that you try to wake up Hitler on the first round, trying to get him to release the panzer divisions that were up closer to the Pas de Calais and bring them down. But they're not great chances to do that. But then even going forward, there are some neat things that can happen with German reinforcements. Last thing I'll point out here, without getting too deep into the rules, are these pieces here. These are the French resistance, and you can see that they're in every city that has orange in it, so any major towns or cities. And essentially you choose one of the hexes that they go in, and then any German units that are trying to go into, out of, or through the hex where there's French resistance is you roll a d12. And on a 1, they destroy the German unit, and a 2, 3, or 4, the German unit pauses, can't go through. So they're cutting wires in the truck, or they're, slashing tires and whatnot. But if they roll a 12, then the Gestapo has found them and eliminates them. So that's it for them. There are radar and towers, and then flak batteries. And the flak batteries, of course, help protect the radar towers. And the Allies, their goal is to silence these because they can take a toll on your aircraft. Now, anytime the ground attack aircraft come in, the tactical bombers come in, they do get shot at, even if there's no anti-aircraft gun present. There's just inherent, but it's very low. It's one. You have to roll a 1 on the d12, so you got about an 8.5% chance of knocking out a plane every time it attacks. So most turns you lose 3 or 4 planes out of the large number that you have. So each beach has 4 tacticals, 2 fighters, and a bomber. So that's 7. So that's 35 aircraft that the Allies have when all is going well. And just look for 3 or 4 of them to head over to the replacements box at the end of the round. So yeah, your goal as the Allies is to get off the beach as soon as possible and start messing things up. Trying to head through the Normandy countryside as quickly as possible. And sometimes I found myself actually avoiding these hexes so I don't give the Germans another activation point, and then take it maybe on the last turn so that the Germans won't have as many reinforcements coming on. But the reinforcements come on instantly, and then they can move and attack, whereas the Allies attack, then move. Now the Allies do have a mechanical, anything that's a mechanized unit can move 1 before the attack, so it does balance out a little bit. But there are finite resources. This is the setup, and that's all you get. You have unlimited infantry, but as far as anything artillery or any mech units, tanks, that's all you get. There are no more. There are engineer units that are used by them to take care of some things, repair stuff, take care of minefields. It's a lot of fun. Now, minefields are the one secret thing in this game. So before the game begins, the German player writes down on a piece of paper or on any sort of token that you want to write it on, you write down the alphanumeric coordinate. So maybe I want to put a minefield in J13. And then you get 3 of them that are anti-personnel and 3 of them that are anti-vehicle. So if nothing but men walk into one that's anti-vehicle, you don't reveal it. But if a tank comes rolling through the next turn, you reveal it and you may blow up that tank. And then the engineers will come in, take care of things. That's a good time. So that is how the map looks once it's all set up, minus all the aircraft, but everything else is how it's set up. So we hope that you look forward to playing this game, and we absolutely look forward to creating it. There is another video I've put up that outlines all of the rules and even some of the optional rules, and it's all time coded, so you can go down into the notes and just click on a time code if you have a question about a particular rule, and it'll be right there in a quick and easy way to understand. All right, thanks so much for watching, folks, and we hope you enjoy Invasion Normandy, brought to you by Historical Board Gaming. And hey, may those dice be with you.